Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. 3 men are charged in the stunning escape of a convicted murderer from a BC jail 3 years ago. But where is the murderer?
We cannot confirm with you today that he has been arrested.
Plus,
critics tried to tell you it wouldn't work. Well, they were wrong.
Vancouver police and the mayor say a crackdown on violent crime on the downtown east side is paying off. But some residents say they feel targeted.
I don't see any other citizens in Vancouver having to put up with that.
And
I just wanted to get a Slurpee. I got lazy. I didn't want to walk.
slow motion pullover. We'll tell you why Mounties arrested a Prince George man driving a kid's toy.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. The RCMP says 3 people have now been charged after a daring prison escape in BC 3 years ago. Convicted murderer Robbie Al-Khalil was awaiting trial when he broke out of the North Fraser Pretrial Centre in 2022. But as the CBC's Lindsay Duncombe explains, police aren't saying where he may be.
It was a brazen escape. A convicted murderer, Robbie Al-Khalil, helped out of a British Columbia jail by 2 men posing as contractors.
We are pleased to share a significant development.
3 years later, RCMP now say they have charged 3 men in connection with the escape. 2 are in custody, and there's a Canada-wide warrant for the 3rd, John Potvin of Ottawa.
We ask the public become familiar with his photo today and contact their local police with any information regarding his whereabouts.
What police didn't announce today was any new information about the whereabouts of Al-Khalil himself, despite reports from the Vancouver Sun and Global News that he was arrested in Qatar.
That information has not been confirmed yet. When there is an announcement to be made, we will definitely inform you.
Al-Khalil has been on Canada's most wanted list for years.
We just need to find him.
When he escaped, he was awaiting trial on murder charges related to the shooting of a prominent gangster in downtown Vancouver. He was convicted in absentia. Al-Khalil had already been convicted of a 2012 murder in Toronto. If the media reports are correct and Al-Khalil is in Qatar, the investigative process could be more complicated, as Canada does not have an extradition treaty with the Gulf state.
It depends on the government.
This lawyer says extradition can still happen without a treaty.
Where we have good diplomatic relations, we have trade relations, we have respect, the likelihood of extradition may be higher.
Police say their investigation into the alleged accomplices uncovered information about a separate murder conspiracy in Kamloops and a firearms incident in Maple Ridge. They've laid charges related to those incidents too. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Vancouver police and the mayor are heading a crackdown on violent crime on the downtown east side. 6 months have passed since Task Force Barrage was announced and launched. Some residents say the operation is heavy-handed, but as Michelle Gassoub explains, even more police attention is coming.
Critics tried to tell you it wouldn't work. Well, they were wrong.
Vancouver police say their crackdown on crime worked.
The positive impacts of Task Force Barrage have been felt in places beyond the downtown east side.
The operation was designed to flood the neighborhood with more officers and target violent crime at a price tag of $5 million.
A 23-year low. Turns out, when you make investments in public safety, the streets get safer.
The force cites its own statistics. Total violent crime down 18%, robberies down 44%, and serious assaults down 23%. Vancouver's fire department reports double-digit drops in fires and medical responses. But some in the neighborhood say they feel under surveillance.
They can come up to them at any time, and we saw them doing this, saying, hey, what's your name? What's your last name? I don't see any other citizens in Vancouver having to put up with that.
The funding for Task Force Barrage will run out in October, when police say they'll be making the downtown east side its own policing district. Some advocates welcome having officers dedicated to the brand new District 5.
I heard in many cases officers were just not aware of what services are available down here, or, you know, didn't know that there's an op site down the street and things like that. And I'm like, are you really, like, you need to really understand this community before just throwing a ton of resources and officers at it.
But residents, advocates, and the mayor do agree they need more than just police.
We do need meaningful help from the provincial government on healthcare, on mental health, and we need help from the federal government on bail reform for repeat offenders.
To help a neighborhood that has struggled with so much for so long. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
A 54-year-old Vancouver man has now been charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder after 2 women were found dead on the east side of the city last week. Police say Viet Kiwi John Lai is also facing a charge of aggravated assault. Around 2 o'clock Friday afternoon, officers responded to reports of a stabbing in the Joyce Collingwood area. They found a 50-year-old woman with life-threatening injuries inside an apartment building and found 2 other women killed in a building a few blocks away. The trial has begun for the man accused of stabbing 3 people at a Vancouver festival in 2023. Blair Donnelly is charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault after violence broke out at the Light Up Chinatown event following the final performance of the event. We spoke with the CBC's Chad Posset about the trial earlier.
Yeah, Dan, this was a big deal. This made headlines for days and weeks after it happened. It was a festival meant to uplift the neighborhood that had seen its share of troubles with social disorder, hate crimes directed at Asian Canadians during the pandemic. And this festival was to uplift Chinatown. 2-day festival, September 10th, the second day. The final performance is coming to a close. A woman in her 20s is all of a sudden stabbed in the back. Another woman in her 60s is stabbed in the back. Her husband stabbed in the forearm. Serious injuries that sent them to hospital. Sometime after the festival, there's an arrest made of Blair Donnelly, a man in his 60s who had been out on a day pass from the forensic hospital, BC Forensic Hospital, and is now charged with aggravated assault. Of course, that made stories at the time as well, as that how is it that he was out on a day pass if there was a chance of any kind of violence. Now, this is also the comment from Premier David Eby, who was white hot mad at him being out. So now we're at the trial here, finally, where we find out what these charges are about. Today in court, we learned that we saw video of Donnelly coming into town, going to Home Depot and buying a wood chisel, of an interrogation and an interview with police. Ultimately, what this trial will determine if he's criminally responsible for these crimes. So it's set to take place for the next matter of days, with conclusion sometime next Wednesday. Dan.
All right. Chad Posset reporting from BC Supreme Court. Mounties say a man has been arrested after a Friday morning fire that wiped out Crossroads Brewing and Distillery in Prince George. Police say they arrested 57-year-old Richard Titchener, who is now charged with arson causing damage to property. RCMP say Titchener is a resident of Prince George and well known to them. No injuries were reported. Crossroads has been a cornerstone of the city's downtown since it opened in 2017 and was set to host its annual Late Summer Street Festival the very next day. Titchener made his first court appearance earlier in the day and will remain in jail until his next appearance on Tuesday. The BCGEU is ramping up its job action in more cities across the province. As Jonna Bailon explains, the union says its moves so far have meant the public hasn't felt the impact. But that may change.
It's the 5th day of the strike by public sector workers in BC. Members of the BC General Employees Union are ramping up their job action, spanning picket lines across the province starting Tuesday.
Over 1,000 more members of the BC General Employees Union are expected to join picket lines in locations including Nanaimo, Kamloops, Williams Lake, Kelowna, Cranbrook, Nelson, Fort St. John, and Smithers. The union has been fighting for higher wages that keep up with the rising cost of living.
Workers in this province are falling behind. Public servants in this province are falling behind by every measure. That's not acceptable. It stops here. We're standing strong, and we're going to be here as long as it takes.
The union represents about 34,000 workers in sectors like healthcare, social services, wildfire fighting, courts, prisons, and liquor stores. The BC government has said essential services like healthcare and wildfire fighting are not affected. Finch says while they won't share their strike strategy, the job action has focused on core government workers so far to minimize disruption to the public as much as possible. But, he says, That could change if the province does not return to the bargaining table with a better offer.
Last week, Premier David Eby said they're looking for a deal that's not only fair to workers, but also to British Columbians. Union leaders here say that it's not about picking between workers and the economy, as workers are the economic engine of the province. Jonna Bailon, CBC News, Surrey.
Floods in the northwestern Indian state of Punjab have left several dozen people dead and others reeling over the loss of life and property. As Saurabh Sandhu reports, BC's South Asian community is now coming together to offer support for devastated families.
Balbir Singh Pannu is making cold calls, asking for donations for people impacted by floods back home. Pannu says his own village in Punjab is completely submerged in flood water.
Right now his condition is really bad because there's lots of water over there, lots of animals dying.
Pannu is helping with a fundraiser being hosted by a Surrey-based Punjabi community radio station in association with Guru Nanak Food Bank. At least 40 people are believed to be dead and more than 350,000 have been affected by heavy rains and floods in the North Indian state of Punjab.
The level of waters in Punjab are so high that you can't even see houses that are drowned under the water.
And it's very hard to provide food over there for animals and human beings.
More than 20,000 people have been evacuated from low-lying and flood-affected areas. Hundreds of relief camps are set up to provide shelters and supplies. A quarter of Punjab's 30 million people depend on agriculture, raising concerns over rural livelihoods.
People are waiting for water to recede because it's still actually coming in. And once the water recedes, that real impact as to what undertaking has to be done in Punjab is going to be assessed at that point.
These are people whose minds are geared to compassion and supporting those.
Among those showing up in support, BC's Premier.
It's British Columbians staying in touch with India, reaching out to support people who are in distress.
Another community radio station, 93.1 Red FM, says it held a radiothon in Surrey, Calgary and Toronto for flood victims last week and raised more than $2 million.
People were very touched, and we are really surprised that this amount of money will be coming from the community in these harsh times when our economy is not doing very well.
Then says the fundraising effort not only highlights the importance of compassion in the community, but also shows Punjabi diaspora is still very much in touch with its roots. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
Out of the wildfires burning in our province, the BC government says there are just over 140 blazes burning right now, over 30% of them out of control. They say about 1,100 properties are under evacuation orders, most of those in the Caribou Regional District and in the Ulchaco First Nation. And because of our lingering hot and dry weather, a temporary protection order is now in place for 2 bodies of water in the southern interior.
Severe low flows are impacting the spawning Chinook salmon in the Bassett Creek and Salmon River watersheds. And this is why we are issuing today a temporary protection order for Bassett Creek and for Salmon River in an effort to recover the water flow levels in those 2 areas.
Neil says this order is affecting hundreds of people right now, including almost 500 surface water and groundwater licenses for forage crops. Neil says the order will be pulled down if stream flow recovers. Science and climate specialist Darius Madavi here with the first look at the weather with the watches and the warnings.
That's right. So we've had these special air quality statements in place for quite a while. I wouldn't expect most of them, especially ones in the central interior, to come down anytime soon, and the central coast. We have seen some lightning and some localized downpours happening in a few areas in the southern interior. That will likely return again tomorrow in many places. But the area where we have had this localized severe weather warning, the severe thunderstorm watch and the severe thunderstorm warnings, those may or may not return tomorrow. Kind of remains to be seen. Now, in terms of the fire danger, we have seen quite a bit of improvement in this area here, but especially in the north, we continue to see very high fire danger. We are more likely to see some more thunderstorm activity up in parts of the northeast, like the Peace, tomorrow, so keeping a close eye on that as well. But, of course, most of that thunderstorm activity will be concentrated here where we do have plenty of high fire danger still as well. Now, we do have a decent amount of smoke as well, Dan, so we'll talk more about that later in the show.
Okay. Darius, thanks very much.
Thank you.
As traffic stops go, it was downright strange why a toy Jeep was pulled over by police and the driver arrested in Prince George. That story's next. It was a strange traffic stop that ended with handcuffs and a ticket. A Prince George man stopped by police after driving a child-sized Jeep on one of the city's main roads. The CBC's Andrew Kurriata has more on the slow joyride that is making the rounds online.
You're really arresting him for driving a kid's Jeep?
That's right. On Friday, a Prince George man was pulled over and arrested right here after he was seen driving a child-sized pink Barbie Jeep down this busy road.
I just want to get a Slurpee. I got lazy. I didn't want to walk.
Now, Casper Lincoln says he was using the sidewalk until he came to a closed lane, and after that, he turned right. And that's when he was pulled over, prompting disbelief and a few memes. But lawyer Kyla Lee says driving any car without a license and insurance, even a toy one, is against the law.
The law is very clear. Toy cars constitute motor vehicles if they are powered by some sort of an engine. Nobody wants to hit somebody in a Barbie car, and drivers aren't looking for Barbie cars in the roadway. So it is a serious safety issue.
Police say they also found the driver had a suspended license and later blew over the legal blood alcohol limit, which is why he was taken in. Lincoln doesn't deny these charges, but says he had no idea he was breaking the law.
I only going like 3 clicks. Because I did my hand signals and everything.
But he's taking it all in stride.
Model number, Barbie Jeep. Color pink.
Andrew Kurriata, CBC News, Prince George.
A new holiday attraction for Stanley Park is attracting some controversy. Tickets for the Harry Potter Forbidden Forest experience will go on sale this Wednesday. But as Justin McElroy explains, 2 councillors are urging the board to cancel it.
Stanley Park. It's Vancouver's most famous green space. It's owned and operated by the Park Board, and it will soon be home to the city's newest controversy. It was announced last week that the Harry Potter Forbidden Forest experience is coming to Stanley Park this year. Tickets for the immersive experience will start at $49.50 for adults. And if you know anything about Harry Potter and global culture wars, you can guess what happened next.
I think this is a really serious oversight.
That is Vancouver Councillor Lucy Maloney. She and fellow opposition councillor Sean Orr are calling on the Park Board to reverse their decision, citing Rolling's history of advocacy and funding for one side of debates around transgender rights and issues.
Obviously, we're going to see a lot of protests about this. The trans community and Two-Spirit community representatives have made their voices heard already about how upset they are that this is happening. And I want to help those voices be heard and see if we can change our minds on this.
That seems unlikely. The Park Board has put out a statement saying they look forward to the event, and we've spoken with a majority of Park Board commissioners, and there is little appetite to cancel at this stage. But there are 3 things about this story worth considering. The first is communication around Bright Nights, a much cheaper event that used to be held in the same space, with a portion of the proceeds going to the Firefighters Burn Fund. After the Park Board announced the Stanley Park train wouldn't be up and running this year, the Burn Fund organizers looked for a new venue before the Harry Potter proposal came to Park Board commissioners. Now the Park Board is frustrated those 2 decisions have been linked, but that could have been avoided if them or the Burn Fund announced the Bright Nights cancellation earlier. Second, there's a question about doing your own research. Multiple commissioners told CBC News that when the Harry Potter proposal was brought to them by staff, they knew less about Rolling's views than they do now. Now, knowing them may not have changed that decision they made, but it could have made them more prepared for this debate and backlash. And third, this decision is primarily about money. In 2023, the Park Board passed a Think Big strategy to raise more revenue. In 2024, they voted to raise service fees. And 2 months ago, when they announced the closure of the train, commissioners were told reimagined themed attractions involving third-party entities would provide a more reliable and predictable revenue stream. Staff also said there have been many proposals for business partnerships at the Stanley Park train site that would differ from the status quo. You don't need to be a Ravenclaw to connect the dots. This decision seems to have little to do with picking sides in the culture war or giving the cold shoulder to burn victims, but it seems to have a lot to do with cold hard cash. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
There were some storm clouds gathering over Cranbrook earlier in the day. Darius Madabi will be back with your BC-wide weather forecast as we deal with some smoke and possibly some rain. Stay with us. A new study has found that aspartame, saccharin, and other artificial sweeteners may pose negative health outcomes for the human brain. It found that people who consume the highest levels of certain artificial sweeteners, equivalent to just one diet soda per day, saw a significant decline in their ability to remember and recall words compared to those who consumed the lowest levels. A 62% faster cognitive decline, in fact, the equivalent of more than a year and a half of brain aging. For more on this, let's bring in our Dr. Melissa Lem, medical columnist and family physician. Thanks for coming in. We should note this was an observational study, we understand, so we need more research. But anything stick out to you based on what they did find?
I would say, Dan, before people start dumping out all their diet pop down the sink, that we remember, like you said, this is an observational study. It doesn't imply causation. We need to actually feed people artificial sweeteners and follow them over time before we can say that artificial sweeteners cause that kind of problem. Something that did stand out actually was how diverse the study population was. It was about 50-50 men and women, and also over 40% mixed race or black, which is a good representative population of Brazil, which is where the study was done. And I also liked the fact that the study also, well, something that was interesting to me was how it didn't necessarily stack up to what we expect. In fact, often we see with different studies that people who are at the highest risk of disease actually are most harmed by what they're being exposed to. But in this case, it wasn't necessarily happening.
Interesting. So it was a relatively diverse study, as you said. It also found, though, the strongest effect in people under 60. Why do you think that might be?
Well, the study authors explained that this could indicate that the choices that we make in midlife have repercussions later in life, and this makes a lot of sense in terms of preventive health care. When you get sunburns as a kid, this can increase your risk of skin cancer as an adult.
Okay. And what sort of conversations, if you have with any, if you have any, with patients, your patients around artificial sweeteners and benefits and drawbacks?
You know what's funny is my patient population specifically is actually quite health conscious, so we don't often have these conversations, but I do have these conversations with my own child because he's aware that pop contains a lot of sugar. If we go to the movies and he wants a pop as a treat, he'll say, oh, should I maybe have the non-sweetened option because it's better for my teeth? But actually, it's not recommended that kids consume artificial sweeteners, so I do let him have the odd sugary pop every now and then.
Now, when it comes to that, we've heard arguments for and against, is it better to have a sugary pop rather than an artificially sweetened beverage? Is there any finding, or what are your thoughts on that?
It depends on who you are and what health conditions you have. If you are a young adult who's lean and active, I would actually recommend that you consume regular sugar and not artificial sweeteners. But if, say, you have a health condition like diabetes, or you're trying to lose weight in the short term, you may want to go with an artificial sweetener because it doesn't spike your blood sugar and also it doesn't contain calories.
When it comes to the long-term effects of both sugar as well as these low-fat or low-sugar sweeteners, how much more research do you think we need to better understand their impact?
I think we do need some more research. There have been some early studies showing that there may be an increased risk of metabolic syndrome, of diabetes, or of weight issues if you consume a lot of artificial sweeteners. The thinking is that they prime your brain into wanting more, so you end up consuming more sugar and calories outside of those artificial sweeteners. In the end, really, it's best for us to consume natural, whole foods that aren't highly processed, that don't have added sugar, and we know these are best for our health.
All right. Keep the sweets to a minimum if we can. Dr. Melissa Lem, we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dan.
There is new concern about the dramatic surge in the volume of ads promoting sports betting in Canada, including warnings that children who are exposed now could become addicted when they grow up. Alison Northcott with what's driving those fears.
At Bet365, we believe every moment should be never ordinary.
Ads for betting apps have become unavoidable for sports fans.
Make it a place you'll never forget. BetMGM Sportsbook.
But some doctors are warning gambling advertising insidiously normalizes a harmful activity, writing in an editorial the promotion of sports betting is a willful mortgage of Canada's future to the interests of private profit and tax revenue. Canada began allowing single-game bets in 2021. The next year, Ontario became the only province to allow private companies to operate online sports betting sites legally. But their ads can be seen across the country, including by kids, says this adolescent addiction medicine specialist.
What I have seen is an increase in harms from gambling for people who
are under the age where they should be legally allowed to engage in any gambling.
At North Star Bets,
that's prompting calls for more rules, including limiting how many ads are allowed, how often they appear, and when.
Ever since it was legalized, it's everywhere now.
The in-between plays, they're always playing it around. It's becoming actually quite annoying seeing a lot of it.
Experts say problem gambling has been associated with increased risks of suicide and substance use disorders, and starting early can have long-term consequences.
Most men, anyway, who have a gambling problem in their lifetime start gambling before the age of 19, sometimes as early as 10.
Last year, Ontario banned athletes and restricted the use of celebrities in sports betting ads.
It's foolish to gamble with the health and well-being of Canadians.
And a Senate bill is calling for more restrictions right across Canada. But the industry says there are already safeguards.
What they want to do is prevent minors from gambling and limiting people with problems. And that comes through education and awareness.
Alberta could soon follow Ontario's lead. The province plans to launch a private, regulated online gaming market of its own. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced an $80 million tariff relief fund for businesses in Atlantic Canada. It's aimed at helping industries there hit hard by Donald Trump's trade war. Kate McKenna explains.
With the provincial election looming, Prime Minister Mark Carney visited Newfoundland and Labrador, announcing $80 million of a $1 billion fund intended to help Atlantic Canadian businesses weather the tariff storm.
Help them not just to invest, not just to endure, but to thrive.
Last week, the Carney government announced new plans and money to help tariff-afflicted industries.
Becoming more efficient in federal spending so that we have the room, we have the force to support our businesses so they can invest for the future.
This relief, this $80 million, hopefully that it's going to be an easy process, not a lot of bureaucracy, and that businesses can get the support they need. But we know there are businesses in Atlantic Canada right now that desperately need this support.
Meanwhile, in Quebec, Canada's industry minister sought to reassure a major industry under direct threat. The United States has slapped a 50% tariff on aluminum.
The Quebec aluminum sector will get its fair share, and we believe that with the projects that are being discussed right now with Alcoa, with Rio Tinto, and with Alouette, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Today's announcement is a very clear signal from the federal government, the Canadian government, Melanie, that the government stands behind us.
Still, the federal government insists the fight's not over. They want to see these tariffs lifted.
We need to think about the fact that the President of the United States have decided that it's his economy will be based on paying for having access to it.
Last week, the Prime Minister admitted it's unlikely the American tariffs will be lifted anytime soon. He said there could be some smaller sector-specific deals. But at the same time, both countries are preparing to review the existing free trade agreement starting next year. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
2 Palestinian gunmen opened fire at a bus stop in Jerusalem earlier today, killing 6 people and wounding a dozen more. Police say the attackers shot people waiting at the stop and at a bus that had just pulled up. A soldier and at least one armed civilian then shot and killed the attackers. As Crystal Gumansing explains, Israeli security officials say the 2 attackers were from the West Bank.
In Jerusalem's outskirts, Ramat Junction, a busy hub of buses and commuters, erupted in chaos and death. Maybe after 2-3 seconds, someone suddenly shouted terror attack and people started running, says eyewitness Elzar Toldano. 6 people were killed, many others injured. According to Israeli police, 2 Palestinian attackers were shot dead at the scene by an off-duty soldier and an armed civilian. Shlomo Spry was at the scene.
It's hard to describe in words. Devastation, sorrow, and just praying for those that were injured. They should get a speedy recovery.
The Monday morning attack is described as the deadliest of its kind since the war began in Gaza. The gunmen are believed to have been from a village in the nearby occupied West Bank. Visiting the scene, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to press on. We will not relent. We will not back down. We will intensify our operations and achieve all of our objectives, said Netanyahu. Israel Defense Forces descended on villages in the West Bank, raiding a home reportedly connected to one of the attackers. In Gaza, operations were more destructive. The IDF struck down another tower in Gaza City. This one was empty, but displaced people nearby suffered the fallout. They destroyed everything for the people, says Mohammed Noman. The tents were destroyed. There's nothing left for people to live in. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says in the last 24 hours, 67 people have been killed in Israeli operations. Netanyahu said more airstrikes would be ordered ahead of a ground maneuver, warning residents to leave now. Israel's president is expected in London for meetings this week. A demonstration in support of Palestinians has been scheduled Tuesday evening outside of 10 Downing Street, although it's unclear if Isaac Herzog will be meeting with the British Prime Minister. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
Local media in Nepal say the country's government has now lifted its ban on social media after deadly protests. As Salima Shivji explains, at least 19 people have been killed after police opened fire during large anti-government demonstrations.
Fury from the crush of protesters crowding into the streets of Kathmandu as they storm towards the parliament and a wall of police. The clashes fiery and violent. Police used tear gas and unleashed water cannons. The bullets missed me, this protester says, but my friend was shot in the head. How can they just fire indiscriminately at us, he asks.
They're killing little children, people in school uniforms with school ID cards. This government does not care about us.
More than 100 demonstrators were hurt as the death toll inched upwards. At this trauma center for the wounded, pain and confusion. It was a real bullet that ripped away part of my hand, Iman Magar says. I was there for a peaceful protest, but the police used so much force. They had gathered by the thousands to protest a wide-ranging ban on 26 social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube, put in place just days ago to tackle hate speech, the government said. Others criticized the ban as a means to stifle dissent. But the protest, dominated by Nepal's disillusioned younger generation, is about much more.
They want to control us just like a dictator. All the Nepalese citizens are fed up of corruption. Every youth are going outside the country.
And the aggressive police response to the protest, a dangerous miscalculation, observers say.
It's only going to make the matter worse. The poor governance, the nepotism, and the corruption that fueled the kids protesting, but the use of force, which is just unjustifiable.
As the protests exploded, Nepal's prime minister hastily called a cabinet meeting, his government choosing to give in to the protesters and reverse the social media ban, hoping that will be enough to quell the deep anger against an increasingly unpopular government. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Mumbai.
To keep up with demanding wildfire seasons, Canada is ramping up its efforts to fight them. And after a decade, an iconic water bomber is back on the production line. We'll take you there next.
I'm Stephen Quinn, and I love living here in Vancouver, BC. It's a city with world-renowned beauty, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. In our new daily podcast, This is Vancouver, we're exploring the diverse range of issues and stories in this city, the good, the bad, and everything in between, as told by the people who live it every day. Don't miss This is Vancouver, available wherever you get your podcasts, and I'll talk to you soon.
A healthcare heads up for you. People living in and around Oliver are being warned that the emergency department will be closed at South Okanagan General Hospital tonight. Interior Health says it will be closed from 8 p.m. until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Anyone needing emergency care between those hours, it's urged to go to Penticton Regional Hospital. That's about a half-hour drive north of there. Interior Health does not say why the closure is necessary, but in past and infrequent closures, it has been blamed on staffing shortages. Now, in Prince George, campfires are now banned across that region's fire centre. The ban covers most of north central and northeast BC and will remain in effect until October 17th unless conditions improve before then. Campfires are also banned in the coastal, Kamloops, and Caribou fire regions. Well, an iconic Canadian water bomber is back on the production line for the first time in almost a decade. As Josh McLean explains, demand for the planes is growing as wildfires continue to spread in North America and Europe.
At this Calgary factory, a work in progress. This will be a DHC 515 firefighter, the first of its kind to be built in nearly 10 years.
It's really exciting for us to be bringing the aircraft back into production.
The original design dates back to the 1960s. It's also known as a super scooper, and you can see why. A workhorse for fighting wildfires in Canada and Europe.
That's why they've been very popular in Canada, because of the amount of lakes that we have. They've been very popular in Europe because you have the Mediterranean.
Bombardier stopped production in 2015. De Havilland acquired the rights not long after, resuming production on a modernized version last October, and buyers are lining up.
We expect more fire in the future, more intense fire in the future, which is difficult, challenging to impossible to extinguish some of these fires if they get large. So we need a strategy to deal with this new reality.
European countries have ordered the first 22 aircraft. Manitoba and Ontario plan to buy some too, but those planes won't be taking off until 2030 at the earliest. A worrying timeline for some as Canada's existing fleet ages.
We've got 5 years of what I call, spit and baling wire to keep the CL-215s in the air.
Water bombers can buy you time, especially when the conditions are extreme like we've been seeing, hot, dry, and windy. They buy you that time to get a handle on the fire. So that's the best use, and we have a shortage.
De Havilland says it will ramp up production if there is enough demand for their planes.
We're anticipating somewhere up to 11 a year, but if there are significant orders that come in, we're going to challenge ourselves to produce more to satisfy the demand.
For now, Canadian fire agencies will have to make do with what they have until these aircraft can take to the skies. Josh McLean, CBC News, Calgary.
Darius Madavi here with our BC-wide weather forecast. Nice to breathe some cleaner air, at least here on the south coast. Very welcoming. What's the province-wide picture?
Well, many places seeing clearer air than they did just at the end of last week, but especially places like the central interior, parts of the central coast, still very much bad air quality in those areas. We've seen that through the day today. It's forecasted to return again tomorrow, maybe be a little bit lighter, but not much. This is the smoke covers that we had yesterday, and you'll notice here we started off pretty hazy, a little bit smoky on parts of southwestern BC, but that smoke started to clear out pretty quickly in the mid-morning, and then we continued to see that clearing, even moving into the southern interior. If we take a look at our forecast for the next 24 hours, you'll notice something similar. This pocket of the province, a lot clearer. Also the northwest, very clear. Even the northeast getting some relief later in the day. But the central interior continues to see a ton of smoke and haze. Expect air quality to stay bad in those areas, at least until we get later into the day. We may see some thunderstorms there. It's a bit of a trade-off that we might have in parts of the central interior. But, it's likely we're going to see new fire starts as a result of those lightning strikes just because of how hot and dry things have been. Speaking of which, temperatures, they remain relatively stable but may come up a couple degrees as we head into midweek. In most places, we will see those temperatures start to come back down again as we get into the weekend. We can't see that on this graphic, it's too far out, but likely as we start to get into the weekend, we see a frontal system move in, temperatures start to moderate a little bit further. In terms of precipitation, we're going to have this frontal system that's going to be heading down the coast. Some models have it just staying focused on the central coast, maybe a bit on the North Island. Others have it coming down further south and reaching us in Metro Vancouver and parts of the more southern parts of the island. It's a bit of a give and take right now, kind of up in the air. I'm very hopeful that it will come down further south, but by no means is that guaranteed. But hope for more rain towards the end of the week. Fire danger remains high up in the northern half of the province, although it has moderated a bit in more southern areas. And in terms of the drought conditions, kind of the opposite picture. Higher drought conditions down in the south, a little bit better up in the north, especially the northwest. Here's the smoke conditions for tomorrow. Again, lots of it in the central interior. This is bad air quality in these areas at the surface level, bad air quality, and a few thunderstorms rolling through the interior as well. Here's our 5-day forecast, Dan. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow, then we start to clear up a little bit. Temperatures will start to come up a little bit through the week, but generally we're looking at some mixed skies and a little bit of humidity.
Okay. Shall we take a deep breath?
Yeah.
Why not? So after a summer hiatus, maybe it'll be okay Monday is back, and you have some news, Doris, on a new type of painkiller.
That's right. I think, Dan, here in Vancouver and across BC, across North America, we're very familiar with the issues caused by opioids. Now, we need painkillers. People have very intense pain that can only be treated by very intense painkillers. But opioids present a whole host of issues. Now, opioids work by mimicking natural opioids in your body, things like endorphins. These are natural opioids, but opioids will go and bind those opioid receptors that things like endorphins are supposed to bind much more strongly and get a much more intense effect. Ideally, we could have a painkiller that wouldn't have these addictive effects, wouldn't have these serious side effects that opioids do. This is noradrenaline, also known as norepinephrine. It's a different compound. It works through a different pathway that also blocks pain. In life-threatening situations, this chemical is capable of suppressing your pain response. And so enter Adriana. This is a new chemical, a new drug that has been developed by researchers in Japan. You can see where the name comes from here. Well, let's just call it Adriana. This chemical binds a certain kind of receptor. This is an adrenoreceptor, normally bonded by norepinephrine in your body. We've tried making synthetic versions of norepinephrine, but it kind of has some cardiovascular effects. So this chemical will bond a specific type of this receptor, allow other ones to remain open, increase the amount of natural norepinephrine in your body, and reducing your pain.
Okay, here's hoping. Thanks.
Thank you.
It's synonymous with teenagers, but one BC community is seeing an influx of older skateboarders. Can they still ollie? Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox.
Calling all soccer fans. Don't miss the last Vancouver Rise home game of the regular season at Swangard Stadium on Saturday, September 20th. Come take your shot at a CBC host and share your soccer stories for a chance to win some great prizes. And don't miss out on contests, special series, events, and plenty more with CBC's e-newsletter. Subscribe at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox right now.
Skate parks in small towns can offer a safe space for youth to find friends and build confidence.
And in Salmon Arm, older skaters are working to resurrect the community's scene there with a new event called Skate Fest. Here's Jacqueline Gelano.
Yeah, boy, there it is.
A group of skateboarders who navigated their adolescence on 4 wheels are giving back to the community that shaped them by reviving Salmon Arm's skateboard competition scene after COVID cancellations shut down events. Todd here is a judge at Skate Fest, a competition and festival with vendors, bands, and DJs. He grew up in an era before skate parks, when pants were huge, wheels were small, and skaters were always being chased away from the best spots to ride. He was part of a group who fundraised for the construction of Salmon Arm's first skate park.
When I started grade 8, that actually skateboarded in Enderby. And then, of course, everyone else was on the hockey team or the other teams. And then we started coming to Salmon Arm a lot more and met at least, there's like 27 skaters in Salmon Arm. So everybody was pretty easy friends. And the more the ball starts rolling downhill, the more skaters that gathered onto its mass and ended up getting parks and stuff.
Skater Gavin Donald is one of hundreds who came out for Skate Fest. He says he tries to make sure every single person at his local park in nearby Vernon feels welcome.
Skateboarding kind of attracts people that don't have a sense of community, but it creates its own society in that, and it allows the people that don't fit in regular society to make their own.
For some, like Brandon Desjardins, the owner of Salmon Arm's Ashes skateboard and snowboard shop, riding kept him out of trouble.
When I was growing up, a lot of kids in my community kind of veered towards drugs or vandalism or things like that, just not really being good kids. And I just kind of stayed away from it because I always had my board. I always had something to do. My parents didn't have a lot of money, and it was really the only sport that they could afford to get me into, and I just loved it right away.
Desjardins says he donated prizes to the festival because he knows how important having a creative outlet and community is for kids.
I guess it felt like a purpose for me as a kid. I enjoyed falling, I enjoyed learning new things, I enjoyed how much persistence it took. I just enjoyed hanging out with my friends, having fun with them.
The skate community hopes this event will kickstart a resurgence in skate competitions in the region. Jacqueline Gelano, CBC News, Salmon Arm.
Cool stuff. Looks like fun. Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6.
And we will have your next local news at 11 o'clock right after the National. See you then.